Welcome to World Mission Topics, Lesson 8. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's topic is a plague upon the Philistines. The lesson text is coming out of 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 1 through 12, and then chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon, and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore, neither the priest of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And it was so, that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. Therefore they sent the ark of God to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not, and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with the emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. 1 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. And they said, If ye send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then ye shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. The memory verse for today's lesson. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not, and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 5, verse 11. The key terms for today's lesson are obeisance, relic, and retributive. Obeisance, the acknowledgement of another's superiority or importance, homage. Relic, a venerated or highly esteemed religious artifact. Retributive, of, relating to, or marked by punishment. The suggested emphasis. Late in the period of the Judges, the populace of Israel had fallen into degradation. Their moral decline was even echoed in the religious leadership. Eli, the high priest at that time, had allowed his sons to corrupt their priestly offices. Hophni and Phinehas took the meat brought for sacrifice without first burning the fat as an offering to God. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 16. They committed fornication with the women that served probably as liturgical singers in the sanctuary. A prophetic word was sent to Eli that the Lord would put his wicked sons to death and raise up a priest he could trust. This was a providential background of the Battle of Ephek, where the Philistines roundly defeated the Israelites. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 4, verses 1 through 22. On that occasion, after losing an initial skirmish, the Israelites had Hophni and Phinehas carry the Ark of the Covenant to the battlefront as if it was a lucky charm. God allowed the Philistines to rout the Israelite army, slay the two priests, and take the ark as their plunder. Emphasis 1. The destruction of the idol. The conquering army brought the ark to Ashdod, one of the 5 chief cities of the Philistine territory. They deposited the Hebrew relic in their temple to Dagon as a keepsake. Dagon, a principal deity of the Philistines, was represented as a merman, having a man's torso but a fish's bottom in much of the ancient iconography. The temple at Ashdod had a statue of Dagon in it, and the ark was placed beside it. The next morning, to the surprise of the temple priest, the statue was found face down on the floor, as if the false god was bowing down before the ark. The Philistines dutifully lifted Dagon upright, but a worse fate awaited it that night. The following morning, they found that only the trunk of his body was left intact. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 5, verse 4. As the head and hands of the image had been broken off and strewn at the threshold of the temple. Without the people of God to defend it, the Lord himself had protected the sanctity of the ark by destroying the idol in its vicinity. It was an illustration of how Yahweh would not endure being equated to the false gods of human religions. Emphasis 2. The plagues against the people. The vengeance of God against the desecration of the ark extended beyond the temple in Ashdod. The population of the city was then struck with an ailment of supernatural origin. There was an epidemic of something akin to hemorrhoids, which caused abdominal discomfort and colorectal bleeding. The citizens of Ashdod came to realize that this epidemic was caused by the ark's presence, so they lobbied the princes of the Philistines to move it to another place. The leaders chose to house it in Gath, but the residents of that city were similarly afflicted in their bodies. The men of Gath demanded that the ark be moved again, but when the Philistines tried to deposit it in Ekron, the Ekronites cried out, saying, "They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people." And that's 1 Samuel chapter 5, verse 10. A nasty infestation of rats may have also beset Ekron. It is implied in the following chapter that the city was overrun with pests. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 6, verse 4. The retributive consequences were growing. With the prospect that every Philistine town might rebel against holding the Jewish relic. The princes and other national leaders met to decide what to do with it. Emphasis 3. Only God will be reverenced. It took 7 months for the stubborn resolve of the Philistine nation to give way. The leaders finally decided to return the ark to the Israelites and appealed to their priests and diviners to learn how to best appease the angry Israelite God in doing so. Those religious advisors suggested returning the ark with a trespass offering, 5 golden images of the rats that had infested their land, and 5 images of the hemorrhoids that had infested their bowels. The ark with the golden rats and hemorrhoids in a box by its side was placed on a cart pulled by 2 milk cows. And that's 1 Samuel chapter 6, verses 10 and 11. The Philistines simply pointed the cart toward Beth Shemesh on the Philistine-Israelite border. The riderless cart was driven, as if by an unseen hand, straight down the road until it reached the Israelite village. The Lord extracted the recognition and obeisance of the Philistines through his direct action. They were certainly chastened from ever desecrating the ark again. Once the details of this incident were fully communicated to the people of God, they too could learn a valuable lesson. Our God is a jealous God. He does not patiently endure idolatrous behavior. Any idol the people of God put up before him will suffer a fate similar to the statue of Dagon. We should carefully guard against making idols in our lives today. He may simply destroy anything, jobs, houses, cars, relationships, etc., that we revere more than him. Missions application questions. You can write down your answers and search the scriptures on your own. Question 1. What does the fate of the statue of Dagon tell us about God's tolerance for false religion? Question 2. Why was each Philistine city terrified of holding the Ark of the Covenant? Question 3. How did the unmanned cart successfully guide the ark back to Israel? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the holy is understanding. World missions prayer points. Let us prayerfully guard against trusting religious items as if they are lucky charms. Let us pray to please God with our conduct and behavior. Let us pray to recognize and respect the jealousy God has for his people. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.